And we just really did. We just really did.
I slashed myself right across the face. And I took out about 5 people standing near me.
This movie is total action insanity.
Did your Twilight experience turn out to be what you expected?
Oh. Ever wondered what happens when Hollywood's brightest stars stop pretending to love their own work? Some call it courage, others call it career suicide, but when the cameras stop rolling, the truth spills out. From Oscar winners trashing their classics to fan-favorite leads confessing regret over the roles that made them famous, these are the moments when the illusion shattered. So sit back because you're about to hear actors get brutally honest about their biggest hits. Harrison Ford, Star Wars. He may have become the galaxy's most iconic smuggler, but Harrison Ford never hid his distaste for the saga's dialogue. During a 1982 interview, Ford famously told George Lucas, "You can type this stuff, George, but you sure can't say it." Ford admitted later that he wanted Han Solo killed off, saying, "He's got no mama, no papa, no story. Let's kill him." Lucas refused. Ford stayed on, but his frustration only deepened as the sequels grew larger. In later press, he said, "I'm done with Star Wars. It's not part of my life anymore." Decades later, even returning for The Force Awakens, Ford made sure Han Solo's death was written in the deal. For millions, Solo was immortal. For Ford, he was a paycheck and a headache, and he made peace only when his blaster finally went silent. Jennifer Lawrence, Passengers. When Passengers premiered in 2016, it was billed as a romantic sci-fi epic. But years later, Jennifer Lawrence admitted she regretted it deeply. On The Howard Stern Show, she said, "I was like, oh no, space movies are the new trend. Then I realized I was wrong, it just didn't work." The film's morally questionable plot, where Chris Pratt's character wakes her from hibernation, drew backlash. Lawrence later confessed, "I should have listened when people warned me about it." Despite her Oscar-winning reputation, she called Passengers a career blip that taught her to trust her gut. It wasn't a box office disaster, but for Lawrence, it became a reminder that fame doesn't guarantee good choices. Sometimes, even in space, you can't escape regret. George Clooney, Batman and Robin. Even George Clooney can't defend Batman and Robin. He once told Variety, "I thought I'd destroyed the franchise." Clooney admitted he still apologizes to fans, joking, "I always apologize for Batman and Robin. I actually thought it was going to be a fun movie." It wasn't. Neon sets, ice puns, and bat nipples turned the film into a pop culture punchline. Clooney later revealed he learned an expensive lesson. You can't make a movie just because it seems like a career move. Ironically, that failure made him cautious and paved the way for Out of Sight and Ocean's 11. Sometimes to find your best work, you have to bomb spectacularly first. Alec Guinness, Star Wars. While fans worship Obi-Wan Kenobi, Alec Guinness quietly hated every second of it. He called the Yuri dialogue rubbish and the story fairy tale nonsense. In letters later published, Guinness wrote, "New rubbish dialogue reaches me every day, and none of it makes my character more bearable." He even convinced a young fan to burn his autograph after the boy admitted he'd seen Star Wars over 100 times. To Guinness, the movie was childish escapism, yet it earned him more money than his entire career combined. He never denied its success, but behind that wise Jedi calm was a Shakespearean actor who wished the Force would leave him alone. Daniel Craig, Spectre. When Spectre wrapped in 2015, the world expected Daniel Craig to praise his 4th outing as James Bond. Instead, he said the unthinkable, "I'd rather slash my wrists than do another Bond movie." The quote exploded across headlines. Exhausted, injured, and disillusioned, Craig later clarified that he was done for the moment, but the damage was done. He admitted, "I was physically and emotionally drained. That film nearly killed me." Ironically, the brutal honesty reignited interest in his return. When No Time to Die came around, he finally got the closure he wanted, but fans never forgot the moment 007 nearly shot down his own legend. Kate Winslet, Titanic. For millions, Titanic was cinematic perfection. For Kate Winslet, it was embarrassment frozen in time. In a 2012 BBC interview, she said, "Every single scene, I'm like, oh God, really? Why did you do that?" She also admitted she hated her American accent and couldn't stand watching herself kiss Leonardo DiCaprio. Despite the global love story it became, Winslet called her performance over the top. Ironically, her discomfort only made the film more human, a confession that turned into humility. Because when you've starred in one of the biggest movies ever made, the only thing left to critique is yourself. Mark Wahlberg, Boogie Nights. Few roles launched a career like Boogie Nights did for Mark Wahlberg, and yet he's one of its harshest critics. In a 2017 interview, Wahlberg said, "I just hope God is a movie fan because I made some poor choices." He called Boogie Nights a difficult subject matter and admitted he prayed for forgiveness after portraying porn star Dirk Diggler. It was the movie that made him a serious actor and the one he's most conflicted about. Wahlberg's honesty stunned fans who saw the film as fearless, but to him, it's a reminder of youthful bravado meeting Catholic guilt, a hit that never sat right with the man who made it. Michelle Pfeiffer, Grease 2. Before she became a legend, Michelle Pfeiffer nearly lost her career to Grease 2. She later said bluntly, "I hated that movie with a vengeance." When asked if she'd ever seen it again, Pfeiffer laughed. "Are you kidding? No." The sequel tried to ride the original's success but crashed hard. Pfeiffer was labeled a pretty face in a bad film. Years later, she told The Guardian, "It was my lesson in Hollywood, you can't fake good material." Ironically, that disaster lit the fire that led to Scarface and the Fabulous Baker Boys. From cringe to classic, she rebuilt herself by admitting where it all went wrong. Robert Pattinson, Twilight. Robert Pattinson became a global heartthrob as Edward Cullen, and he hated it. He told Vanity Fair, "It was like being in a weird cult." He said he never understood the character's appeal, adding, "He's a 108-year-old virgin, so obviously he has some issues." Pattinson admitted he was miserable during production, constantly clashing with the director over the tone. Afterward, he joked, "Whenever I meet someone who likes Twilight, I always feel like apologizing." What began as a teen phenomenon became a creative cage, but his brutal honesty later earned him credibility as an actor who stopped pretending. Sigourney Weaver, Alien, Resurrection. When Alien, Resurrection hit theaters in 1997, fans were confused, and so was Sigourney Weaver. In interviews, she called it a misstep and said, "It was like someone else's movie I wandered into." Weaver had fought to give Ripley a dignified end in Alien 3, but when the studio resurrected the franchise, literally she agreed only for the challenge of playing a clone. She later admitted, "I wish we'd stopped after 3. I think we lost the tone." It wasn't bitterness, just candor from a woman who helped define sci-fi horror, acknowledging that even icons can be trapped by their own success. Sylvester Stallone, Rocky V. Sylvester Stallone had already conquered the world with 4 Rocky films when he made the fateful decision to bring the boxer back for one more round. But years later, Stallone admitted that Rocky V was the biggest mistake of his career. He told Empire magazine, "I should have stopped after Rocky IV. I didn't realize people didn't want to see their hero broken sick." The 1990 film took the underdog story into bleak territory. Rocky loses his fortune, trains a new fighter, and ends up brawling in the streets. Critics called it a misfire, and fans were crushed. Stallone later reflected, "I tried to make it more realistic, but I went too far. Nobody wanted to see their hero beaten." The film's failure hurt him deeply. "It's the only Rocky I wish I hadn't made," he confessed. But instead of quitting, Stallone rebuilt the franchise from the ground up with Rocky Balboa in 2006, a heartfelt return that reignited the legend. In hindsight, Rocky V became his personal cautionary tale, a reminder that even icons can fall flat when they forget why people fell in love with them. Sometimes the toughest fight isn't in the ring, it's facing the mirror afterward. Halle Berry, Catwoman. Only a few years after winning an Oscar, Halle Berry took a gamble that backfired spectacularly. Catwoman 2004 was meant to be sleek and empowering. Instead, it became a cinematic catastrophe. When she accepted her Razzie Award in person, clutching her Monsters Ball Oscar in the other hand, Berry made Hollywood history with brutal honesty. I want to thank Warner Brothers for putting me in this god-awful movie. She later told Entertainment Weekly, I was offered a lot of money and thought it could be fun. It wasn't. The experience left her humiliated but self-aware. I learned you can't just do a movie because they'll pay you. You have to love it. The film's incoherent script, bizarre direction, and awkward CGI turned her into tabloid fodder. Yet Barry's courage to laugh at herself became the real redemption. She told reporters, you take your hits, you stand up, and you keep going. Ironically, Catwoman didn't end her career, it refined it. The honesty that followed restored her credibility in ways the movie never could. In a town built on denial, Barry turned a disaster into one of the most honest moments of her life. Sean Connery, James Bond. To generations, Sean Connery was the definitive James Bond, cool, ruthless, and unforgettable. But to the man himself, 007 became a curse. By the late 1970s, Connery's frustration boiled over. He told The Observer, I have always hated that damn James Bond. I'd like to kill him. The Scottish actor felt trapped by the tuxedo and the myth. People confuse me with Bond, he said. I'm tired of being that cardboard hero. After Diamonds Are Forever, he swore off the franchise but was lured back with Never Say Never Again in 1983. His motivation? Creative control and a record paycheck, he admitted. Even then, the experience didn't heal his resentment. I gave them my youth, he told friends. They gave me exhaustion. Over time, Connery softened, acknowledging Bond's impact while still calling the role limiting. His honesty reshaped how audiences viewed fame itself. Here was a man brave enough to reject his own legend. When asked late in life if he'd ever play Bond again, he laughed. Never, he said, and this time, I mean it. For the first 007, the biggest mission was escaping the shadow of his own success. Reese Witherspoon, Legally Blonde, 2. Ellie Woods turned Reese Witherspoon into a household name, but when it came time for a sequel, things went sideways. Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde was a box office success, but one Witherspoon never stood behind. Years later, she admitted, we got lost. The story didn't have the heart of the first one. In interviews, she revealed that the studio rushed production to capitalize on the pink mania of the original. It was a business move, not a passion project, she told The Hollywood Reporter. Critics called it lightweight and unfocused, and even Witherspoon knew something was missing. I felt like we betrayed the spirit of Elle, she said, but the failure taught her a defining lesson. Don't chase trends, chase truth. After that experience, Witherspoon began producing her own projects through her company, Hello Sunshine, focusing on authentic, female-driven stories like Wild and Big Little Lies. Ironically, the weakest entry in her filmography pushed her toward her strongest creative era. Sometimes a sequel you regret is the one that turns you into a leader. Bill Murray, Ghostbusters 2. For fans, Ghostbusters 2 was a long-awaited reunion. For Bill Murray, it was déjà vu and not the good kind. He told Rolling Stone, it was all about the effects, not the characters. We lost what made it funny. Murray, famously allergic to Hollywood hype, felt the studio forced a sequel before a story existed. We did it for the wrong reasons, he admitted. The script went through endless rewrites, and the chemistry that made the first film sparkle felt artificial this time. It wasn't terrible, Murray said, but it wasn't ours. His honesty didn't come from bitterness, it came from respect for what they'd built. He later said, when something works, you don't repeat it, you evolve it. Decades later, when Murray appeared in the 2021 reboot, his tone had softened. It felt right this time, he said. We honored what mattered. That quiet reflection gave fans closure. Even in comedy, truth haunts the funniest men. For Murray, Ghostbusters the set became a lesson that lightning rarely strikes twice unless you're willing to wait through the storm. Anne Hathaway, Bride Wars. Anne Hathaway has never shied away from discussing failure, and Bride Wars is the film she winces at most. The 2009 rom-com, where two best friends compete over a wedding date, made money but little respect. Hathaway later told Glamour, I tried to make something meaningful out of a shallow script, and I couldn't. Behind the scenes, she admitted she only took the project out of fear. I was afraid of disappearing, she confessed. It was one of those moments where you think, if I don't say yes, I'll vanish. Critics called the film glossy but soulless, and Hathaway felt the same way. I was embarrassed by how little heart it had, she said, but the experience became a turning point. After Bride Wars, she shifted toward riskier material like Les Miserables and Rachel getting married. You can't grow if you're playing it safe, she reflected. What began as a pink-tinted misstep became her creative awakening, proof that even career lows can set the stage for transformation. Marlon Brando, Mutiny on the Bounty, 1962. Marlon Brando was already Hollywood royalty when he signed on for Mutiny on the Bounty, but the experience nearly ended his career. He called it a nightmare. In interviews, Brando said, "They should have called it Mutiny of the Studio." Filming in Tahiti turned into chaos. Brando clashed with the director, demanded rewrites, and ballooned the production budget by millions. Crew members accused him of arrogance. He accused them of incompetence. When the film finally premiered, critics slaughtered it. Brando took partial responsibility, later telling biographer Peter Manso, "I was bored. I didn't care. I was spoiled." His brutal honesty stunned the industry. No superstar had ever admitted to sabotaging his own movie out of apathy. But Brando's candor later became part of his mystique. It took a decade and The Godfather for him to redeem himself. Yet Mutiny on the Bounty stands as a reminder of genius gone adrift. Even legends can capsize when ego steers the ship. Megan Fox, Transformers. Megan Fox's beauty made her a global star, but her honesty nearly destroyed her career. During a Wonderland interview, she described director Michael Bay as like Napoleon, and he wants to be like Hitler, a nightmare to work for. The fallout was immediate. Producer Steven Spielberg demanded she be fired from Transformers 3. Fox later reflected, "I was young and said things I shouldn't have, but I wasn't wrong about how it felt." She revealed that Bay's chaotic sets were intimidating, saying it wasn't a safe environment. Hollywood turned on her overnight, labeling her difficult. But years later, she stood by her truth. "I was never ungrateful," she told the New York Times. "I just wanted to be respected." Her candidness cost her roles but won her quiet admiration. The same voice that got her fired later made her a feminist icon for speaking out before it was safe to do so. Sometimes telling the truth isn't career suicide, it's survival. Matthew McConaughey, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. For years, Matthew McConaughey was the go-to romantic lead, shirtless and smiling. But behind that charm, he was restless. Speaking to Interview magazine, he said, "I was living on the beach, taking my shirt off, cashing checks, but I wasn't growing." When offered another rom-com for $14 million, he shocked his agents by saying no. "I needed to find my soul again," he said. Hollywood thought he was done. Then came the silence, no scripts, no offers, for almost 2 years. McConaughey later recalled, "That quiet was terrifying, but it was necessary." Out of that stillness came Dallas Buyers Club, Mud, and True Detective. He called the shift his McConaissance. By walking away from easy fame, he found depth, proving that honesty isn't just about regret, it's about reclaiming your purpose. "I stopped playing the guy everyone wanted," he said, "and became the man I actually was." Natalie Portman, Thor, The Dark World. Even Marvel magic couldn't keep Natalie Portman from feeling disillusioned. After director Patty Jenkins was removed from Thor, The Dark World, Portman told Vanity Fair she was heartbroken. "I didn't love the experience," she said. "It felt out of my hands." Portman had signed on hoping to work with Jenkins, the first female director in the MCU. When that dream collapsed, her enthusiasm vanished. She finished the movie, but her performance carried quiet frustration. "I felt like a prop," she admitted. Her honesty caused headlines, but fans understood. After years of prestige roles, Portman found herself sidelined in a blockbuster machine. When she returned for Love and Thunder years later, it wasn't out of obligation, but closure. "This time," she said, "I got to play her the way I wanted." In the end, Portman's candidness revealed a truth few in Hollywood dare to admit. Even superheroes can feel powerless when art turns into industry. Behind every flawless performance lies the one thing no studio can control: the truth. From Brando's rebellion to Lawrence's regret, these confessions strip away the glamour and reveal what fame really costs. Some actors lost roles, others gained redemption, but all proved one thing: Honesty never goes out of style. So next time you watch your favorite hit, remember the story behind it might be even more dramatic than the one on screen.